Hi, this is Seth David from Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This time we're talking about QuickBooks for Professional Services, two-sided service items. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me right now at 866-945-8070 for information about consulting and private trainings. We always record the live session with you so you can review it as often as you like afterwards. Hi. Okay, welcome to another special screencast from Nerd Enterprises Incorporated. This time we're talking about QuickBooks for Professional Services. We're talking about being two-faced, but this time being two-faced is actually a good thing. See, with professional services, a lot of times we are either hiring people as employees or bringing in subcontractors to do work, usually by the hour, and then we want to turn around and bill that work back to our clients. Well, a lot of this over the years had resulted in double entry, right? Because I had to enter the bill, and then essentially that same information had to be transferred over to an invoice, which would be sent to the customer. So I'm entering the hours once when I pay the bookkeeper, again when I bill the client, marking it up, and ultimately it's just a lot of work that doesn't need to be done. It can be condensed down into filling out the information once and then transferring it over. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. And it has to do with setting up what's called a two-sided item. So what this looks like is in our item list. And notice I've got my profit and loss and balance sheet up, both set for all dates so that there's no tricks up my sleeve. And over here in the item list, we want to create a new item, and it's a service item, and let's call it bookkeeping. Okay? And normally it's a one-sided item when it's a service item because the only thing I'm going to use it for is to bill my client. Theoretically, when I paid my bookkeeper, I would just enter a bill, assuming it's a subcontractor. I'd enter a bill and book it straight to a direct labor account, and that would be that. So over here I would assign it to consulting income. Well, on a two-sided item, what it enables me to do is it enables me to assign both an expense account and an income account to that item. This way I can use it for both. And the trick to that is this checkbox right down here where it says this service is used in assemblies are performed by a subcontractor or partner. All you really need to be concerned with on this is that when I check this off, it becomes a two-sided item. Never mind what the description says, because the description is long and it makes me stop and think, well, is it performed by a subcontractor or a part? It makes you think too much. Just check it off, and what happens is now you can actually assign an expense account to it. And what I like to do in a case like this is create an expense account called direct labor, and I like to set it up as cost of goods sold. Why? Because this is going to be a direct expense that's going to be charged off against the production of this income. So even though I'm not selling inventory, I like to create cost of goods sold accounts that describe direct write-offs against income. These are items that I have to incur in order to produce $1 of revenue. So what am I paying my bookkeeper? Let's just say I'm paying the bookkeeper $25 an hour. And standard markup at most CPA firms is going to be about 3 times. So let's say we charge $75 an hour for it. This is important to fill in because this will save you time later, because then you just have to punch in the hours. It has the unit cost, which is the hourly rate, and it'll calculate the total for you. Also important, do not fill in the description on sales transactions. You don't want to fill this in, because if you fill this in, this supersedes anything else. Otherwise, what will happen is when you write your description on the cost side, when you enter the bill and you write the description about what the bookkeeper did, and then as you're going to see in a second, when you go to invoice the item, that description will transfer over onto the invoice. So leave these two blank. You want to definitely leave these two blank on purpose here. And then we can click OK, and our item's been created. So now we have 2 things to do. We're going to, first of all, if I want to do this for an employee, I have to enter time, use the weekly timesheet, and notice here you can list the service item. So you'll want to make sure you use the bookkeeping service item right here when you're entering in their time. Of course, you need to assign it to the customer, and then you put in the hours, and that'll all transfer through. But let's say we're using a subcontractor. So we're going to enter a bill, and we'll call it bookkeeper. Very original, I know. Leave this all blank for now. The only thing you want to do is put in the date and maybe the date due. Then the key to this is coming down here to the expense tab, and you're going to ignore the expense tab and come over to the items tab. It defaults to the expense, so you want to make sure you click over here on items. Now you can access your item list. We're going to put bookkeeping in there, and we're going to put a description, reconciled accounts, and we'll say that the bookkeeper worked from 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. I always like to put a nice detailed description here. I put the last 4 digits in the account numbers that were reconciled, what months were reconciled. So 8 to 12 is 4 hours. I put in my quantity of 4. Her rate comes up because we set up the item accordingly. And we get our total of $100. And now let's assign it to our customer called Always Right. And we leave that checked off as billable. So now I save and close. I'm done here. Notice my accounts payable now shows up. My cost of goods sold, my direct labor now shows up. So now let's go and bill the client. Control I to start an invoice. Always Right. It recognizes there's costs in there to bill back to the client. So let's do that. Let's select them. When I click OK, it brings up this tab. There's nothing here in time, nothing in expenses, nothing in mileage. It's all here in the items tab. Notice the description came in from what I had written when I entered the bill. Notice the quantity comes in from the bill. It knows the rate that I'm charging my client, so my markup is built in. So really, once I click OK, my invoice is done, unless there's some other incidentals that I want to bill them for, some reimbursements or something. But other than that, I'm done. So I click Save and Close. Close on the spell check. Now I've got my consulting income of $300, my direct labor of $100, my gross profit of $200. I update my balance sheet. There's my receivable. There's my payable. Right, the receivable is tied into the income, the payable is tied into the cost, the direct labor, and of course the net income for the period so far flows over here into the equity section of the balance sheet. That, my friends, is how you want to use QuickBooks for professional services when you're billing back somebody's time to your client. Got any questions? Write your comments below or give me a call at 866-945-8070. If you have a more complex situation along these lines you need help with, give me a call. I can consult with you one-on-one, send you a link, log in with you, coach you through on your live file exactly how to set up what you need to, and then give you a video of that session that you can review afterwards as many times as you ever like so you don't have to remember everything we went over. Give me a call right now, 866-945-8070. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.